years. Last week, President Trump signed off on changes to the program, the biggest being adding a $100,000 one-time fee to new applications, an enormous jump from the prior $2,000 to $5,000 scale. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are warning employees abroad to return quickly, facing confusion over the new rules. California is weighing a lawsuit saying the fee hike could cripple Silicon Valley access to global talent. Even so, the president expressed optimism after signing the order.
You're very close to the technology CEOs. Are they concerned about that?
I think they're going to be very happy. Everyone's going to be happy. And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people. And in many cases, these companies are going to pay a lot of money for that.
All right. Despite the president's Oval Office is praising it a little bit here, everyone in the tech world is just not on board with this. Time to bring in Harley Lippman. He is the CEO and founder of Genesis 10, one of the largest IT staffing firms in the U.S. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. You're backing this move. Tell us why.
For two reasons. I think, one, there are Americans who could do this work. And what President Trump is trying to do is to protect the American worker, and secondarily is to keep knowledge here in the United States. I think these are two big themes. What happens is American companies don't really engage in training much anymore. After the last Great Recession, training went out the window in corporate America among the Fortune 500. And I think that American companies need to embrace training once again, because American talent is here. So they went overseas for labor, but it really cost them more than they think. You know, sometimes they look at the labor rate, the dollar rate, and they say, oh, it's less than what they pay Americans, which presents other problems because they're undercutting American wages, which President Trump feels is unfair. But when you really add it up, when you consider the cost of the visa, the transportation from overseas countries, it ends up in the hidden costs, the indirect costs. These people often don't get hired, they go back home. That knowledge goes back home, you lose that knowledge, when more likely an American would stay here and you would retain that knowledge. You pay a bigger price in productivity and in cost than you may realize.
So you call this a need for correction, and you talk about the cost. So is that why you believe that $100,000 fee is ultimately good for the United States workforce?
Yes, because this will prevent people coming in and undercutting American wages. Now, if they spend $100,000, they're truly bringing in a very high quality, talented individual that is probably appropriate to work here in the United States. But too often they're bringing in low-skilled, entry-level Java developers or other skills in technology that Americans could have. And frankly, at the end of the day, the President of the United States was elected to protect Americans and to enhance the American way of life. And you can't do that better than helping them keep their jobs. You know, hundreds of thousands of Americans were fired from their job when work went offshore for cheaper labor. So this is a correction to that.
So what about those smaller companies, right? You think they can be able to adapt to the cost easier than some of these larger firms like Amazon and Microsoft?
They all have the same solution. There are companies like mine and many other good firms that train people out of college and do it very quickly. They put them in an intensive boot camp and they get these people up to speed really quickly. They're entry level, most of them. Some are more senior and you could upskill. But as boring as it sounds, it's not sexy, but training is the answer. And it keeps the knowledge here. The other reason is if you give work to people from foreign countries, invariably they go home at some point, most of them. And they've learned new ideas, startups are created, innovation is created in overseas countries. So who benefits from that? Not America. In fact, while America may be the leading technology country in the world, that edge is being eroded because of all the internet startups in countries all over the world. So to maintain our leading edge, which again falls under the leadership of the President of the United States, this will help maintain our technological leadership, which is very important for this country.
Harley Lippman, really appreciate your insight on this. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.